In the spring of 2014, I got a phone call from a member who has a property that bordered Martins Creek down on Low Island. And he told me I better come down and right away and bring my camera. So I did. And what I saw was a picture above a picture here. Should be the next picture coming up. This is the first time I've done it. That showed a crack in the culvert. We number the culverts. They're as we're looking at them on the upstream side, going down into the culverts from left to right, 1, 2, and 3. So the one that was a problem was number 3, and it was torn at the bottom of it. Um, Above that also was a collapsing of the culvert. The culvert has the cement bags around it, the top of it, but there was a gap of about, and I got up to measure, it was around 6 inches. So the whole culvert was collapsing in on itself, and what had happened was the picture that's showing here is a tear in the bottom. It appears that culvert was damaged. We don't have any idea how many years ago. The culverts were put in just prior to 1995 by Arville Cook was a developer at the time when I talked to Arville about this. And anyway, I didn't ask him about this damaged culvert. There are 3 on this bridge, the Caitlin Bridge, and then there's also 3 on the Wildcat Bridge. Both bridges we call Wildcat Bridge. It's on the entrance as you come in on Wildcat Drive. Both of them are identical. 3 culverts. Sometimes they're called pipes. Sometimes they're called barrels by the people I found out later that do work on these bridges. Anyway. It had broken and it was collapsing on itself and it was coming down. And there was, as I walked up on top of it, next to, or the road goes across the culvert, it had holes, sunken holes where the dirt was falling down. So the whole thing was collapsing on top of itself. So a real concern. We checked with several places to see what do we need to do with this kind of thing. And so I ended up doing several things. I talked to the Department of Transportation for the state, and they end up giving me some instructions on what to do. So the next slide you're going to see is me dressing up as one of the first steps I made was to try to understand what to do was to contact uh, the U.S. Highway Bridge Supervisor and for national bridges, and particularly on the culverts, the kind that we had, and was able to have a conversation, email conversation, and a phone conversation with him. And he told me of a bridge inspection system that they used. It's called recording and coding. Recording means they go through the culvert carefully, examine it every foot or so, and then they code it and they have a number from 9 all the way down to 1, and they sign a number to it at each step. A 9 is the best and 1 is terrible, and you have to get rid of the replace the culvert. So they sent me that, and so what we've got above here is on this is a that chart, the listing of all the items that they have, and so we've gone through that and tried to do our own coding. So that's what we have next. We needed to, if we're going to replace the bridge, the culvert, it was going to be shut down for some period of time, and people could not get on or off the island since that's the only entrance. So Kip and Steve and John and several other people who live down there jumped together, not jumped together, but worked together, putting in a step bridge. He got us across. It just went from one side to the other, of course, had a railing on it. And it was, it worked just great. And so as soon as the repair was made, then they tore that down and it was gone again. So, but it lasted and allowed people to get in and out. As you might imagine, before we got to the next step, we did a lot of research. We ended up getting 3 bids. Hard time getting bids because these bridges seem like they last forever, and so there wasn't a few people in Murphy that do maintenance work, hardly any of them did this kind of work because there wasn't a need for it. So anyway, we finally ended up with having taken the low bid, in this case with Rondo Phillips. And we did a research on the kind of culvert we wanted. It's corrugated, and this one is galvanized, corrugated, and it's also surface on the inside and outside is aluminum. So it should last over 50 plus years. So we have that. So he dug out, Rondo brought his equipment down. Obviously at this point the bridge is shut down. This was delivered. The culvert, it's 40 feet long, 8 feet in diameter. So what he's doing is lifting this to go ahead and insert it. So he's already pulled the one out. In fact, I didn't have a picture of that. I'm tearing up the other one, and he just crunched it together, pulled it all out, came out in pieces. It was such bad shape. And so he's now putting this down. You can see 2 wires on the lower right. And these wires, one's a power line, and the other is for for phone lines. I'm not sure anybody using the landline on Low Island for phones, but anyway. So we were going to have to go to the power company and have them shut down the power and so forth. And Ronald said, I think I can put this thing underneath it. And that's what he's trying to do, as you can see. I forget how many tons that this thing weighs.
More nastiest sound in the world.
He has one workman that's helping him that he brought in for this particular job. He's worked with him before. His balance is amazing balance with just the fingertip controls it has on the levers to move this thing around. As you can see on the left, the tree is in the way, and the person, I think it's Homer, is a house is fine. Go ahead, don't worry about it. He's fine. And so, but bit by bit, you can see that he's getting this loaded. He's got the jaws are right in the middle, and there's chain going on either side of it with the chain, the front and back chain. So he's got the whole thing's balanced. And the helper is down lifting up those lines. He's going to try to fit that thing underneath there without having to break it. That would have taken more time and so forth. So anyway, he's done an amazing job to get this thing in there. Once it was in there, then they got down and get it level, because the water has to flow through it, of course. And so they wanted the water to flow unheated. And so they were able to get the thing levelly adjusted 2 to 3 inches here and an inch there to get it absolutely perfect with the transit. So amazing job what he was able to do. We are more than pleased with what he did. The bid was $11,800 for this, and that's exactly what our cost was, not a penny more. We had insurance coverage in case he screwed up somehow or other, and he gave us a writer from the insurance company that he was covered for it. So he's just nudging that thing just exactly where he wanted the thing to fit in. So I'll show you a picture of it in a minute where it's all done. But they have to fill everything. This photo was taken maybe 3-4 weeks afterwards, after it was done. But all the bags have been replaced. You can tell the 2 different color bags. The new ones on the right side, and the nearest one is number 3 is the one that was replaced. As you can see also, in front of number 3, there's a slight dirt right there. We had dirt put in there, gravel put in there, moved off from this side, on the other side over to this side. And the water that's coming down really goes into number 1 and number 2 culverts and does not have to go into number 3 unless there's a flood. And if there is, The dike, if you call it a dike, is about maybe 18 inches high, and floodwater goes over that, and then we'll have the use of all three culverts. So anyway, it's worked out just great for us, and we were so pleased with the way it worked out, and should last us for many, 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 many years. Now that we have the Caitlin Bridge nailed down, bedded down, if you will, we've now focused on the Wildcat Bridge, the one that comes across the Martins Creek at our entrance. And what you can see here is that we had the state engineers down. We asked them, we didn't have them now, we asked them if they would come down and help us, and they were willing to do that neighborly. And I just love Murphy for that. If we can tap into that uh, network of service people in Murphy that all seem to know each other. They all grew up here, worked together for 20 years. It's amazing network of people. And they each know each other, and they're very neighborly and very casual in many ways compared to Pittsburgh or Tampa or somewhere else. So anyway, they were kind enough to come down, and so have a look at what we've got. And what they looked at, they found out the bridge is just on the right side of the picture, and across the way are a clump of trees. This is all over on the Lutz property. No, that's excuse me, that's on our property. And so they said those trees were about to uh, collapse and into the pond, excuse me, into Martins Creek. And once they did, they would be a mess because then the tide would pull them up right into our culverts, and it would be a mess to get them out of there, particularly against that tide. And it is a strong tide at times. So they suggested we have that moved out, and so we did that. And also, they made several other suggestions. Let me show you in the next picture. After John and Steve dug out the bushes, the trees, did a great job of that and kept hauling them away and burning them. We're now cleared up with the area. So we put in at the recommendation of the engineers, riprap. You can see that in between in the between one and two and three culverts. We've leveled off the land above it, and we've got a dike system set up. So that all of that has been great to meet all the needs that they've given us. The above communication was between the state engineers and bridge supervisor for 4 counties. Reviewing what we've done, we followed all their instructions that they had for the bridges, both bridges, and their thought was that if we continue to maintain our bridges, the dike system, the dirt above it, that we should have our bridges should last for 20 to 30 years or longer. These bridges, they don't know how long they're going to last, simply because there are a number of them in the county, dozens of them, and they're still operating, and so they don't know what the length of time is. So hopefully.